Hello everyone. In this short video, I want to talk about something very valuable that I learned today, and I want to share it with you for all of you members of the Easy Algo Discord community, and I hope you enjoy this one because it's a really good one. So for those of you who have been watching my progress as I've kind of developed this unique trading strategy of trading money flow divergences, it's becoming more and more developed and more refined. And it's just so exciting for me because I never give up on back testing. And the more I study things that happen, the more I learn, even now. And it's amazing what TDI-X and easy algo indicators can do once you understand them. So obviously in this, I did talk about Moodang on one of my previous videos before it went up. I showed the divergence before it popped. And I was like, it was one of the tokens that I was watching that I had a feeling was going to pump. And so you had this money flow divergence here. No big deal, right? Well, I used to go by and, look for a primo zone tap. Something kind of like, this one's not a very good example of it. You don't always get a primo zone. But normally you would use the last opposite colored candle, and then this would be like your order block. I guess it might have worked. Yeah, it actually did. I didn't even look at it. Normally you see a big movement on candles when the primo zone gets tapped because it went up above it, came back down, and I think this trend line had a little bit to do with that. But then you started getting volatility right here on the 4-hour. And so it actually bounced right on the 50% line, as it often does, which I wasn't watching at the time. I've been touching grass and taking time off from trading because, with the rate cut thing going on in the US, the markets are a little weird and indecisive, and I just don't want to risk it if things are manipulated right now. So anyway, here's what I want to show you, and I think you're really going to like this one. Because not only can you trade money flow divergences when they tap a key level such as an order block or a fair value gap or a trend X level, well, when you do this, you can get a better idea of when to enter with the money flow even well after it turns green. Now I'm going to show you, this is so key, and I'm learning it and sharing it right as I learn it, because I'm just getting more and more refined with the strategy, and I love it. Anyway, okay, so if you would have entered this trade after the breakout, because there's your trend line, there's your breakout, and then it came back down, well, you could have entered here, but you would have been holding that trade for a long time. You might have got some, a little bit of trades in and out here. You could have kept scalping it, with a long bias. But look at that. That's 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. A week has passed before the money flow divergence really played out. But here's the secret. You could have got in right before it exploded, and I know how to do it now. This is one of the ways. Obviously, there are different ways to know when it's going to go, but this is it right here. And I put it in my section in our community. So right here it is. And I noticed this. I noticed this happen like right when, sorry, the quality of the screenshot is a little low because my internet's acting weird. But anyway, I noticed this happening just now. I had kind of seen it before, but I noticed sometimes the money flow divergences don't explode until the money flow is in the green. And at that point, these fast MA and slow MA crossovers can often be entries. But even then, if you would have tried to enter when it crossed here, you would have missed this massive candle and only caught half of this 60%. So what to notice? I have it all written on here. Basically, the price was going sideways right here. It wasn't going up. And what I had mentioned this before long ago in some of my first videos on this channel, that sometimes the 200 will come down and you want to enter like as the 200 starts to run parallel with the price, and price is just building up pressure right under the 200 in the case of a long. But in this case, the 4-hour value line for your high time frame bias was also, your resistance level right here. So that where price was going sideways like this arrow, but in the meantime, what happened was, this is the key, there was a dramatic increase in the green money flow right before it popped. And so then you had a 60% pump, and that pump was like quick. It was decent quick. It was that would have been a good trade if you would have taken it. Say if you got in here somewhere, anywhere in here, really, let's just say you got in here or something, and you could have had 60% in one day. Now, if there's 24 hours in a day, you're getting more than a percent per hour. You're getting like what, 2 or 3 or something like that, which is great because in this case it lasted for the whole day and you got in on the big move. And I believe this will work. And what you have to do is just kind of watch and notice, like, okay, we had a money flow divergence, but what's going on? Why isn't the price going up yet? Well, it takes time. It still had a lot of pressure built, and the 200 was, resistance, and so was indicator X, 4-hour value line. I just say VL. And so when you zoom in, let's look at it closely. You see here, the price was kind of ranging sideways. It eventually popped above and then fell back down, but then you had a nice wick on the bottom of this candle. And this is basically a reversal candle, a doji. So because of this doji candle, that would have been a good entry as soon as it closed like that. And with these candles, you can kind of wait until like the candle's right about to close, because like if you really zoomed in, and say there was a timer, like each candle has a timer on it, and you seen the candle painted like this, and you had like 10 seconds before the candle was going to confirm, you could have entered in right here. You could have entered right there. And once again, the reason I say that is because of this. Because while the price went sideways, the money flow increased dramatically. It was beginning to play out, but price was not yet reflecting it. And look at how sharp that money flow went up. It went way up to the overbought zone, like pretty much. I mean, it was at the 60 area around the time it pumped. And that's the pump right there. If you see on my cursor on the right, on the scale over here, right before it pumped, it was around 60 on the scale over here. And that's usually when stuff starts to really pump. So it wasn't just the fast MA, it was the money flow that was that high. And, it was still curved upwards. This was still curved upwards. It had not went down. And so that's that. You had a massive amount of buying pressure coming in, but the resistance was holding it down. And then all of a sudden, it got above the 4-hour value line and the 200, and boom, so technically speaking, you could have entered right there at the bottom. You could have entered like right here pretty much if you would have been watching when it happened. And I mean, even in the first 4 hours, you could have made 31% in 4 hours. But if you held it, there was a lot more potential. 60% in 16 hours. Actually, that's what it was. 16 hours, the price moved 60%. And with this strategy, and noticing when the money flow is dramatically increasing or decreasing, while price is kind of starting to run parallel with the 200, or let me say the 200 is starting to run parallel with the price right through here, right there. There's a key. And whenever the price gets to the 200 here, it was kind of parallel, but it had just like had a kind of curve. But this was like more of a bigger curve and kind of smoother when you look at it closer. Now, also, as this happened, well, the money flow was coming up here. Isn't that interesting? But you did have a bearish divergence, and you had the trend line, which that was the start of the trend line. But I think more so what had happened was there was a massive pump, and price was still in the correction phase, trying to correct through here. It may still be in a kind of correction phase because it hasn't cleared this high. But the point is, you have a good idea of where was that? That was a different one. Here it is. Where to go to enter, like long or short. Let's see. Was there a No, I didn't see it on here. Oh wait. As a matter of fact, there's a hidden bullish divergence here on the fast MA, and TDI-X had not painted it. I don't think it paints them. As a matter of fact, look at this. You had the oscillator or the fast MA going down, and then the price went up. That is a hidden bullish divergence on TDI-X's fast MA, or it would have probably appeared on the RSI as well. But yeah, that's it. You had a very good, chance to take this trade because the money flow was really coming up. But it wasn't just that that happened, but like you had the previous, you had the money flow here, and you had the breakout after the bullish money flow divergence occurred, and it hadn't really pumped much. When you have a big long-term downtrend or a trend line and a break of it with the money flow divergence, if price doesn't pump in that direction, it just hasn't played out yet. And you should expect a big move when these start to play out. Whereas over here, this was different. This didn't have a bullish money flow divergence like the newest one did. This one, as a matter of fact, it had a bearish money flow divergence right here, a hidden bearish money flow divergence. So like it's kind of a mess with all these lines, but if you see this going down, like that's going down while this guy's going up, right there, you got a hidden bearish divergence. So that is why you would not have went long right here, even though price was parallel to that. And also this 200 was turning red at the time anyway. But when you look at the other one, it was turning green right before it happened. Right here, it was starting to turn green. So anyway, you did have this big bullish divergence getting ready to play out. So you see how this works now? I'm so happy to share this with everyone because I've worked hard on it, and you don't have to. I believe in sharing what I know because I've learned so much from Seth's training and in the Easy Algo group. But yeah, if you watch and you see some dramatic increase in money flow on something like this while price is going sideways, look at it closer. Maybe check other time frames. I mean, typically, this would not be something you would go long on. You'd be looking to go long way down here when there are shark fins or the money flow is low, is typically when you want to go long. You don't typically go long when everything's up top. So the only way you would have known was the money flow that was happening after that strong bullish divergence. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this.